welcome our great keynote speakers, Miss Imura-san. Welcome, Imura-san.
Hey, thank you to
Hey,
choose through me.
thank you. How are you?
Doing all right.
Thank you for coming from California, San Francisco, California. It's so far from
I know,
Japan.
right? It is far away,
Uh,
and I wish I was there actually. Yeah, but all the COVID situations, we gotta all stay home. But it's because of that we can have this online conference and for free.
yes.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. So we can talk each other even if we have a lot of brands. And,
Hmm.
it's unbelievable. And
That's cool.
yeah, they can listen your talk even if they stay in the home. It's so
I know.
great.
Anyway, you are. That's amazing. Like again, I keep saying it's amazing. It is. I'm excited. You can
Oh,
tell.
really?
Hmm.
So you were the keynote speakers of our conference and the C track. So I really excited about that. So I hope you will share the great experiences about developer relations.
Yeah.
So, and I think you were hero of the Japanese and Japanese
I'm
women
flattered.
developers. Yeah, so please evangelize your experiences to Asia Pacific, including Japan's.
I try. Yeah.
Yeah, so and
Uh, should I
I
just share my
will,
screen?
yes, just a moment, please.
Okay.
Okay, so,
And in this moment, you can all listen to this sound of raining. It just started raining. It's soothing, nice sound in my background. I don't know if you
mm.
can hear.
Oh, no, it's quiet. Yeah.
Okay, but it's nice though. It's a nice raining sound. Makes you sleepy. My cats are all sleeping now, so that's a good thing. They
Okay,
won't bother
please,
me.
please don't sleep during your session.
I know they're bad.
Okay, so could you try to the share screen?
Sure. Let's see. Okay, application Chrome tab. Okay.
Okay,
What
great.
do you see the whole? Okay, I
Yes.
have to
Oh,
be in a
yeah.
presentation mode. All right,
Okay, great.
it's
So
working fine.
I'll change the banner to your talk title. Okay, so great. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so currently 20 or more people listen your talk. So please enjoy the conference and your talk. Okay,
Thank you so much.
please go ahead.
All right. So, hey, this is Tomomi, and I'm going to talk about developer-centric design for better experience. Well, I gave it a kind of fancy title, but this is actually about what I think and my own experience about improving the developer content, like in documentations and tutorial and so. Okay. So again, this is me. I'm Tomomi Imura, and I'm a cloud dev advocate at Microsoft. I'm actually in San Francisco. So I was going to say good morning, but it sounds kind of fake when I say because it's actually, you can see it's dark. It's an evening time here. And again, it just started raining. So it has kind of nice soothing background noise if you can hear, but apparently you can't really hear. It's fine. Anyway, so yes, and I'm a dev advocate at Microsoft San Francisco. And also, I'm taking an advisory role at called Chrysalis in Tokyo. This is an English-speaking boot camp. It's one of the first kind in Japan, so that's pretty cool. All right, so about the designing developer experience, I'm gonna give you like two parts, and the first part is about definition. I say definitions, but it's really about what I think it is. And the second part is my actual real life experience and something I just have done in Microsoft. All right. So first, this is about user experience, UX. And well, this is actually from usability.gov. This is on the US government, but they say user experience, UX, focuses on having a deep understanding of users, what they need, what they value, their abilities, and also their limitations. So I just highlighted in user as you. But the thing is, as for us as a developer relations people, users are developers, and developers are actually a subset of users, right? And especially, well, that's a dominant, like a primary users when the product or services we're providing is targeting developers. So let's just swap the word user to developers. And now it's develop experience, DX. Focuses on having a deep understanding of developers, what they need, what they value, their abilities, and also their limitations. I think it still makes perfect sense, right? And yeah, so, well, maybe I can just present this as a definition of what developer experience is. Well, anyways, so this is actually something I blogged about like probably like 5 years ago. And at that time, I was trying to compare user experience with develop experience with user experiences. And that time, not many people have even heard of the word DX. So I thought it was, it's kind of good opportunity to blog about it and give some sort of definition, some catchy definitions. So I did. So this is, well, another example of, user experience. I would say bad user experience. So this is, I know it's kind of look messy and everything. This is a gas pump machine in the United States. Well, it's not like all machine looks like that though, but this is one of the example. This is like really weird. I mean, when you see this at a gas station, you'll have no idea what you need to do. Like, what is the first step? I guess you put your credit card. But the thing is, as you can see in this picture, there are like 7 arrows in these pictures. You might not spot everything. So I'm counting like little triangle as well. But anyways, just push to start, left, this and that. It's like arrows everywhere. This is just purely confusing, right? So I would call it really poor user experience. And here's another one from Japan. This is something I found on Twitter a while ago. This is a coffee machine, then brand new coffee machine in Japan at 7-Eleven convenience store. I think they have upgraded since then, but when first they introduced this fancy machine, nobody knew how to use this, The customers just keep making mistakes, so I guess the owner has to put all the notes. So they're hoping just the customer understand how to use this, but I think it's making it even more confusing, right? And even worse, they don't guarantee, if you misoperate it, you still have to pay. That's awful. So when the person user try to, let's say in this case, like pour a cup of coffee at 7-Eleven, this is a user reaction when it has a bad UX. First, it's confused. When you look at the machine, that's just purely confusing. And then it's trial and error approach, right? It's just click, well, not click in this case, like a press button and try to press another. Oh, this doesn't do the work, and get frustrated. And repeat means probably try to do the same process. Like, okay, let's try this button. This is a cold coffee. I want a hot coffee. And they get totally upset. But let's say when we have a bad DX, the developer reactions. So let's say when a developer tries to use some sort of API with poorly written documentation or something like doesn't even provide any code sample or just some bad API, let's say. It's confusing. So the developer's like, oh, I don't know how to use that thing, but let's try and see. And let's try and see some random API endpoint, whatever. It doesn't seem to work. Okay, let's see. And get frustrated and repeat. Okay, I'm going to try this endpoint, whatever. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But either way, even if successful or not, it's still pretty upsetting, experience here. So this is something I believe, like I think, poor developer experience examples are for some developer platform and APIs and tools and all those. So when you provide no documentation, yeah, this is the worst. Probably the worst possible is no doc. Or maybe even if you have documentation, when the docs are poorly written, that's really bad. Or like no changelog or no specific version specified. I mean, no version specified. That, yeah, of course, it's confusing. Might even have a breaking changes and stuff, right? That's awful. And when, well, simply the service is just too complex. Yeah, when it's complicated, of course, it's quite difficult. I mean, not just the difficult or easy. I mean, being complex, you gotta make it simple, anyways, no matter what. And no tools or SDK provided, yeah, it's a bad idea. And when, let's say, when you have some maybe SDK, anything, method names is like inconsistent, or maybe having really bad naming conventions or no naming conventions, or this pattern's bad. That's, of course, it's bad. And then when you don't supply the good error messages, let's say if it's not verbose enough, then users have no idea, what kind of error they're getting. Or simply operational issues, like if your service is always throwing like 500 errors and stuff, that's obviously, giving developers an awful time. There's just some example. You can think of so many more examples. And let's focus on documentation. So actually, the rest of the talk is kind of focusing on docs and developer content, because that's actually what I do mostly my expertise is. Anyway, so let's say the poor developer experience in docs, bad like info architecture. And when the site is hard to navigate, it doesn't matter how beautiful it looks. If it's just really hard to navigate, hard to browse, that's really giving a bad DX, obviously. And well, no changelog, when people can't tell what's new and what's not, and when the content is outdated. But again, if there's no changelog, people can't even tell if the content is outdated or not. That will be worse. And it's too complex, of course. Like everything, anything complicated, gives people the headache. And especially for documentation, technical documentation, gotta be simple enough. Like should be written in plain, simple English-ish. And then when it's no code sample provided or no template, it's a bad idea. And when it's no diagram, screenshot, illustration, well, a lot of people like to see those visual assets. And then when it has no design guideline or HIG, human interface guideline, maybe engineers don't mind. But the thing is, hey, developers don't always mean engineers. Designers are your developers too. And this is a little stat. So apparently, well, this is a kind of old resource, but apparently most of us, like 65% of us, are visual learners. So especially like the one I just say, having a diagram, screenshots, illustration, or I didn't put it here, but videos could be really helpful for those visual learners. Okay, so now I want to actually talk about my own experience, not just, theoretical talks, fine, but you want to hear my experience, right? I guess. I hope so. All right, so this is about improving Microsoft Teams documentation. So again, I'm a dev advocate at Microsoft, and I just joined a company it's last summer, so actually it's July this year. And well, I do have multiple projects, but my main project is actually Microsoft Teams. So this story is about how me and my colleagues have improved the documentation recently. And the goal of this project is to reduce the learning curve for new developers and create a happy path for them. So this is the phase of developer life cycle. I said cycle, it's not cycle, but anyway, life cycle that we defined, and especially for Teams app developers. So first is about onboarding and learn, and then develop coding, right? Then test and publish the app. And eventually, once the published app, they want to monitor how it's going, like how many people downloaded it, and getting all the feedback and all those. And we really identify this initial process of onboarding and learn. Yep. Am I back? I think so.
Yes, you are
Okay.
back. Please retry to the screen sharing.
Yeah. I don't know what happened though.
Yeah, it suddenly
Yeah.
you stop the you shut down. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That was odd. Okay, but
Perfect.
let's resume. Okay, where am I? So I think I was talking about. So the initial process, like onboarding, learn, and develop, is especially important because, well, I think it's actually generally true, but especially for us, for Teams app development, has a quite steep learning curve. So, like if onboarding fails, we kind of feel like, yeah, they're not gonna actually even develop any apps, they just give up or else. Anyways, onboarding part is important. And yes, and documentation is like where the journey begins. So this stat is actually from the Stack Overflow in a few years back. So they asked developers on the way, where how developers learn and their own. And number one, like the first one, isn't official documentation. So it's really, well, I'm kind of surprised only 83% people, not 100, but anyways, but it's still, looks like it's pretty common. That's where, the developer journey begins. So, like again, I joined a company in the summer. I was new, so as a new hire, I really want to just get in speed and wanted to actually create some app by myself. So I'm like, all right, let me try and see. So I tried to be not forget about DevRel documentation, all those, just being an engineer. Engineer Tomomi try to create some apps. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I feel really stupid. But then Deborah Tomomi came back and said, Tomomi shouldn't be stupid. She should be the excellent engineer, right? So, yeah, if, there's something's giving her such a trouble, it's probably having a bad, developer experience. That means you gotta fix that. So, yeah, so in that case, it was like myself. But if I feel that way, I bet many other engineers feel that same way too. I bet. So know your developers. We now have some, yeah, I had to find out about developers. So, when I say developer-centric design, I really believe this is all about empathy. It's empathy-driven design. So let's find out about developers. So, I would say there's no such thing as average developers. You know, so I say here the collecting use cases and persona. And many times when we try to create a persona, you kind of try to have some sort of fictional characters and some fantasy average users and such. But if you stereotyping and try to create some sort of average developers, that might not be right. So we really need to. Well, I would suggest like anybody who's doing this, really need to find out your developers, who they are and what they try to achieve, maybe like in a type of business or demographics. I don't know how much effective to know where they are and which country, but maybe language in their targeted audience might matter, and their goals and challenges and the product knowledge and experience. So we try to really come up with those, like, what in this particular case for Teams developers, what kind of app they try to achieve, to try to create. Could be published app for everybody, or could be just a custom experience for their own, and what experience levels are. And for us, like some Microsoft all the thing pros out there too, they know everything about Microsoft technology, like far more than I do. So that's great. But the thing is, not everybody it's that way. And some people actually really experienced, but not with Microsoft tech stack. They might be just experienced with some similar products out there. And also, we are also talking with web developers in general, not necessarily to be an app developer in this case, and some non-engineers too. So we conducted interviewing actually. So we talked with a bunch of companies, and basically we tried to figure out their pain points and bottlenecks. So I'm not actually telling you which company or the names and stuff, but there's several companies with the different businesses and stuff here. And so that was really eye-opening. It was crazy because of course, we try to be really sincere and try to be honest because we really wanted to hear the honest opinions and rants. And it turns out we get a lot of rants. But it was great though, because wow, that we have learned a lot from listening to the developers, like why they're so upset, it's just all the pain. Oh my gosh, sometimes it was just like for me, it was too painful to listen. But the thing is, of course, don't get offended and gotta admit the mistakes we've been making, and have to find out why they're upset, why they're mad, where the confusion is coming from. So of course, we've learned a lot. I kind of wishing I could share what they say, but no, I'm not doing that. But anyways, because it's a company business, but we get a lot. And of course, immediate action for that is, have to give it a bug report and all the bug fixes and stuff. Have to give the feedback to appropriate teams. So like engineering and all the related teams. And they got to follow up with those developers who gave us all those feedback, and especially bug report, because that got to be fixed. So then within a team, we get a massive brainstorming. We really try to prioritize and deprioritize content, and try to what should be changed, what should be added, all those. So here's some outcome. So after all those, we made a lot of improvement. Of course, this brainstorming and research process is actually, I just talked about it in a few slides, but it was like a month long, process. So, we end up having like more concise overview in the getting started page, because again, this is really about onboarding, wanted to make the onboarding experience better. So that was the important part, the overview page, getting started, and the table of contents got so much better because we prioritize and deprioritize what to be like more important to, especially to the user who just started the development, just started learning, and anybody who already have some experience know how to get to. So we can kind of change the content, the TOC, some important things, some top level, and some of the stuff nested level, it's a little bit more obscured, kind of changing, swapping around, and added more visual elements like diagrams and chart, and added use cases. We need to add more though. And I try to make it like a terminology set. So a lot of times like a Microsoft terms and stuff, like all the jargons might not be something like familiar for everybody, right? We can't just say, oh, everybody should know that. So we try to make it slightly like better with that. And I worked with UX writers as well. So, and I try to have more inclusive support. In that case, inclusive means like again, developers are not always engineers. Especially for our product, we have some no-code, low-code solutions as well, and also targeting designers or like front-end people with design in mind. You've got more better design guideline and Figma assets. So this the screenshot looks a little fuzzy, but this is basically before and after of this overview page. So it looks so much cleaner and easier to read, easier to digest, and more concise. And so after that, we got really, I can say it's pretty successful numbers. And then again, not actually disclosing the exact numbers, but I can say we get a massive increase in the Docs KPI score, and a good number like increase in click through and dwell rate, like how long a user stick. And the opposite thing is bounce rate, so like how quickly get out and stuff, like exit rate, a decrease. So we are pretty happy about the result. And obviously, I talked about it and I drove the project, but of course, that's not something that could be done all by myself or just few people, right? We got a lot of help from the teams. So we got a dev advocacy team, product design, and as leadership. Oh, so that was really amazing. And I don't think they're watching this and anything, but I want to say thank you. Yeah, so that was actually one story about like the project we've been doing the past few months. And well, actually, the thing is, I've been doing DevRel for a long time, about like I think it's already 10 years after doing engineering for several years. And I've been working in so many other companies as well. And it's always been the Silicon Valley, the Bay Area. So I actually want to talk about another company I worked at too. So this was about the project I had in the previous company. So before joining Microsoft, I was at Slack. So and I was there for almost 3 years. So I've done actually a lot of projects. But this is a one I really got good success. I feel like successful. Looks like my cat just woke up. Anyways, so it's about internationally, not like, gosh, I can't even say this word, internationalizing Slack docs and tutorials. And the goal was to not let the growing community left behind and to support technical content in Japanese because, yes, so it's actually very specific. I say internationalization, but it was really about supporting Japanese developers. So again, this is all about empathy, just talk to your developers. So yes, I actually talked to a bunch of developers. So at the conferences and the customers partners. So yeah, actually like a year ago, like last year around this time, I was in Japan. I went to like 4 different cities, like Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, and Kobe, I think. Yeah, to meet a lot of customers and partners at the time. And I talked to so many people, a lot of people. And when I'm not talking to real people physically, I can still do an online survey. And of course, we get a lot of feedback to our support team as well, and including Twitter and email and everything. And well, what I found out was really a lot of people, pretty much everybody, wanted to have documentation available in Japanese. The thing is, well, just like the Teams app I was talking about earlier, the Slack app's the same way. It has really steep learning curve. So it's not like a simple REST API and such. It is, but it's not actually. It's not just easy. You can't just guess. You have to really read docs and digest, understand. So yes, a lot of people have an issue, and the language barrier is actually far thicker, bigger than you ever think. Well, especially because I'm in the United States and in the US. This is really like what it is. A lot of Americans. I'm not trying to dismiss Americans there, but a lot of people just don't know. And then you might say, why not using machine translation? But the thing is, if the documentation is really written straightforward way, that might be able to machine translate by readers. But the thing is, that was written in a kind of a friendly tone. So it wasn't really translate nicely. So it's friendly in English, but not so friendly for machines and non-English readers. And so many times, that official docs not available, developers try to find out some third-party tutorials and other stuff in Japanese, but many times they got outdated. And the hardest part, so this project, actually, I couldn't really get started sooner than like I expected. I had to wait a long. And the reason is it's really hard to convince a project like this, So internationalization often comes as lower priority for many companies, especially US companies, because of the budget reason, or just simply like unknown business impact. And not enough people. And this one is kind of not nice one, but it really happens. It's a lack of empathy. People just people should learn English. Believe it or not, people say that. And of course, lack of knowledge. I say lack of knowledge, but more like I don't know how to like a market in that that particular area. A lot of people have no idea. But got to do it because I really wanted to do it. I wanted to help people. So of course I volunteered to do that. And at the same time, I had to ask a bunch of friends / coworkers within a company. And I was lucky that I got a really lot of good colleagues. And of course, I was saying earlier, unknown business impact. Well, have to make it unknown to known. Gotta show the numbers. So to get all the statistics, all the metrics from the certain regions and everything, just submit the numbers and send the exec to Japan. That's not something I actually did. I didn't send anybody. I didn't have power for that, but that was an effective one. So once the executives actually go talk to the customers, in the region, they're like, woo. So yeah. Anyway, so no, of course, for the budget issue, you got to prioritize which content to be translated and got to research the market too. So we got to the conclusion that maybe not going to translate the entire documentation because it's not just about budget or no time. It's more like documentation is like living doc, like ever evolving content. So it's just really hard to, translate it all the time because it's going to always have time lag and everything. So we thought it was really not a good idea. So we decided to only do the certain content and the research in the market. So what would be the effective market for Japan? And I actually decided to use something called Kita, which is a really popular platform for developers in Japan or Japanese speaking region. So yeah, so that's what I had in Akita. And yeah, and we got a good metrics. Again, I'm not really giving you specific numbers, although I'm talking about metrics here. But the thing is, announcement tweet got like a record, the largest number of retweet, and I got increased API calls and increase the number of apps from the JP region. So in that case, I'm not specifying in Japan as geographical region. I'm saying just language they chose. And then another one to become fastest growing dev community. So that was more like a geographical, like a Japan as a country. We got a huge community there and increase the community driven content. That's actually really amazing to have one because we're not writing, but our developers really reacted and they start writing about their experience. So that was amazing. Oh yeah, so that was actually the screenshot. So yeah, this Twitter account itself doesn't have a whole lot of followers and stuff. So usually don't get that many retweets and likes. So that was pretty awesome to see the number. So yeah, of course, like again, obviously I didn't do this project all by myself, and I was really amazing to have great teammates. And I no longer work there, but I still really miss my former colleagues there. So yeah, well, I just give you some experience that I have from like 2 companies, but like again, I've been working in this industry for a long time, so I have so much more story to share. But well, it's already time. I've been already talking for long, but I have more talks available on the slideshare.net if you're interested. So thank you so much. All right, and I guess it's in question time. Should we just keep doing this? Oh, hi.
Hello,
Oh, you're
hello.
not Sushi.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah. So do we have...
Thank you for your great talk.
You're
Just
welcome.
changes from Atsushi.
Yeah.
I'm Nori from Microsoft and C-Track, the second MC. Thank you again for your great talk, Tomomi-san.
You're welcome.
So I will pick up some question from your talk. Okay. Can I see the question?
Why they can't understand UX? They are also one of customers.
The question is why they cannot understand UX. They are also one of customers.
Ooh, that might be a question about something specific. I'm not sure, but I would say UX is not something customers or users should be understanding. The UX is something we provide. Let's say if you're a product person and you provide a great user experience for your users, so we don't have to expect our users, customers, developers to understand what it is. And the same thing for developer experience, because no one needs to know what it is. We just have to provide, or more like when it's bad, people will notice. People tend to notice anything when things are not working. So bad UX is always, more likely to be found than good UX. And same thing for developers. I know I'm not really answering the exact question because, to be honest, I'm not sure about what it means, the question means, but it's probably talking about something specific, but I missed that when I was giving talks. So yeah. But if whoever asked this question can follow up with me, that's great.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next, so long question. So
we should understand what developers really would like to achieve through the activity, and the advocate can be closer to them if they believe we can really support their job to be done. Yes. So that's not a question. That's really a statement. Yeah. Yes. And of course, we gotta really watch activities. I mean, many times we can just keep looking at our logs. Many times, I know each company does it a different way, but we can see some error log might be the one. If we always get in a particular error from certain APIs, we always know something's causing the problem if nothing wrong. But if, things like that, gotta always just watch the log and closer to them. Yeah. And we can do it in many different ways. I just talked about actual developer interviews we have conducted. But of course, that might not be the case all the time. You can't really might not have luxury to talking to them all the time, but still you can have always survey or any feedback will be helpful.
cool. Yeah. Thank you. So any other question? If you have a certain question, please talk on obvious. Yeah. So.
Yeah, if there's no more, I kind of thought maybe somebody's going to ask me about metrics and how to do the KPIs and stuff, but I'm glad no one asked because that's kind of complicated. Yeah. But of course, each company does different way, and Microsoft has our own ways to do that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If it's no, that's okay. I guess my talk's done. So I can be just a audience, and I can enjoy the rest of the conference like you do.
Yeah, thank you again. So Tomo is a keynote. Yeah. So and the next session will start at 50 minutes. So thank you again. So Tomomi-san. Yeah. Bye. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, I'm gonna disappear.